It was an understandable question for the jury. The verdict form in Weinstein's trial included a complex mix of either/or charges, witnesses who are not directly part of charges, and legal terms with specific definitions. We'll work to explain them here. The essence is that Weinstein is primarily charged with alleged sexual attacks against Miriam Haley and Jessica Mann. If the jury finds him guilty on either or both of the first-degree felony counts, criminal sexual act and / rape, then Annabella Sciorr's rape allegation can escalate the charges to a more serious felony, predatory sexual assault, punishable by up to life in prison. That means Sciorr's allegation does not stand as a crime on its own. Her claim also fell outside the statute of limitations. Still, her testimony is key to whether Weinstein could spend the rest of his life behind bars for predatory sexual assault. Weinstein has pleaded not guilty, and his attorneys say all of the sexual interactions were consensual. The jury of 7 men and 5 women began deliberating on Tuesday and has not reached a verdict. Weinstein can be convicted at most of 2 charges in all. Weinstein faces 5 charges: first-degree criminal sexual act, first-degree rape, third-degree rape, and 2 counts of predatory sexual assault. The 2 first-degree charges are each punishable by at least 5 years and a maximum of 25 years in prison. The third-degree rape charge is punishable by probation up to 4 years in prison. The predatory sexual assault charges come with a sentence of 10 years up to life in prison. But several of those charges are either/or counts, or what's known as alternative charges. Weinstein can only be convicted of, at most, 2 charges, one based on Mann's allegations and one based on Haley's. Haley testified in court that Weinstein pinned her down and forced oral sex on her at his Manhattan apartment in 2006. For that, Weinstein is charged with first-degree criminal sexual act. Mann testified in court that Weinstein raped her at a New York hotel in 2013 during what she described as an abusive relationship. For that, Weinstein is charged with first-degree rape and third-degree rape, though he can only be convicted of one of those. If the jury finds beyond a reasonable doubt that Weinstein committed either of the first-degree charges, they then must make a separate finding on Sciorr's testimony. Sciorr testified that Weinstein barged into her apartment and raped her in the winter of 1993-1994. If jurors believe that incident constitutes a first-degree rape or first-degree criminal sexual act, then the first-degree charges involving Haley and / Mann would be escalated to predatory sexual assault. If the jury finds that the incident involving Mann is a third-degree charge, though, that cannot be escalated into predatory sexual assault because the predatory charge requires 2 first-degree sexual crimes. In addition, 3 other women testified as what's known as prior bad acts witnesses and said that Weinstein sexually attacked them in separate incidents. Their accusations are not connected to any charges, but prosecutors argued their testimony shows Weinstein had a clear pattern of behavior. Jurors must consider forcible compulsion. The intent and consent text of the charges rely on 3 key legal ideas: forcible compulsion, intent, and consent. Forcible compulsion, as Judge James Burke explained in court, means to intentionally compel by the use of physical force, or by a threat expressed or implied which places a person in fear of immediate death or physical injury to herself. In essence, it's using force or using the threat of force to get what you want. Prosecutors argued that Weinstein used forcible compulsion in attacking the women, while his defense argued that the women consented to the sexual interactions. Within that definition is the word intentionally, and that too has been an important part of the trial. Burke defined intent as conscious objective or purpose, and said that jurors can look at what Weinstein did and said at the time. Intent does not require advanced planning, nor is it necessary that the intent be in a person's mind for any particular period of time, Burke explained. To make the determination in this case, you must decide if the required intent can be inferred beyond a reasonable doubt from the proven facts, Burke told the jury. Finally, the jury must decide whether Weinstein acted without the women's consent in these sexual encounters. For the first-degree rape and criminal sexual act charges, forcible compulsion necessarily means there was a lack of consent. So the issue of consent is most important to the third-degree rape charge, which can include situations without forcible compulsion. Burke explained the full definition in his jury instructions, which partly relies on what a reasonable person would do. The type of consent results from forcible compulsion or circumstances under which at the time of the act of intercourse, the term plain and clearly expressed that she did not consent to engage in such act, and a reasonable person in the defendant's situation would have understood the complainant's words and acts as an expression of lack of consent to such act under other circumstances. As in any case, to find Weinstein guilty on any charges, the jury must find the crimes were proven beyond a reasonable doubt. The 12-person jury must also be unanimous in its decision. CNN's Aaron Cooper and Lauren Del Valle contributed to this report.